and blessed unity with the L-O-V-E. Love is the solution, so set your love free with the L-O-V-E. Further evolution and blessed unity.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Self-Love Show. I'm your co-host, Dawn Light, and this is my gorgeous sister. It's her birthday today. Woo! Trish, right?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Self-Love Show. And, today is obviously a special day for me. And my mom, my dad.
It's his birthday.
What I wanted to talk about today is not really I don't want to teach anything, and I don't want to, what I want is to share some things that happened for me on my birthday, and maybe you all can relate to this. So sometime around my birthday, and like this post or text, share in the comments if this also happens to you. But around my birthday, I start getting really introspective, and I start considering what my life looks like and how I'm showing up in the world and how the world is showing up in my life and how, just these things, right? And I call them birthday reflections. They start about 2 weeks ago and they'll end somewhere around 2 weeks from now. It's about a whole month. And I mean, do you get this too, Dawn? Birthday reflectionary periods?
My birthday is the end of, or the beginning of the year, the end of the year, right? So it's kind of, mine's a smushed also into holidays and, New Year's resolutions and all of that. So it's kind of like a double whammy in that way. So I reflect, about my life also during that time period. It's I think it's just natural to reflect on our birthdays. Where have I been? What have I learned? What's coming up? What decade am I entering into? What's different? What are the new lessons that are going to come with this age that I'm experiencing now? Whatever that may be,
Absolutely.
Yeah. What have I completed? What have I not completed?
What I'm in the middle of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do I truly want?
Good question. This year for me, and just to invite you all into kind of a similar practice of if you wanted to do this along with me with your own life, is to answer some questions that I've been thinking about a lot. It's like, where am I out of integrity in my relationships and myself? Where have I grown from the last year or the last few years? What's alive for me? This year feels very big. This year feels very big for me because so much of my reality has shifted over the last 6 months. And I feel like I'm coming into another aspects of ego death, and well as the shifting of how I'm showing up in the world. Like a realignment or I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's sort of like processing through. Over the, in my 20s, the things that I reflected on were a little like, how do I get what I want? My wants were really big in the frame. Like, I want these things and I don't know how to get there, and trying to find myself and work through the traumas that I've experienced and these types of pieces. And then there's other pieces that now, as I'm 35 this year, and I'm noticing that my sorts of questions look a little bit more like, how do I fully and continually accept myself? how do I accept other people, and how do I expand my capacity for forgiveness of self and forgiveness of other, and how do I walk more in my integrity and my truth and my authenticity while invoking others to do the same, to be able to like hold my own discomfort with them. How do I do those things, and how can I love deeper? That's one of the questions that I've been really asking over the course of the last couple weeks.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's a really beautiful reflection to have.
I've had a lot of space to think about it too. I've been driving in the forest, like very centering. Something I learned, how important it is for me to be in the forest or be out of service for multiple days, like how nourishing it is.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that I've been thinking about,
that self-care, really, that's deep self-care, just to give yourself space to actually process how you really feel.
It's true. Yeah, so there's been this other thing that I've been noticing. So I recently went back to see my parents too, and I haven't had the greatest or most connected time with my father specifically, and with my mom. But this time, maybe because I'm showing up differently, and we've all changed over the course of the pandemic. Everything shifted, that it was such a rewarding and sweet and gentle and generous connection. And I got to kind of look back and be like, wow, I've shifted, I've changed.
Yes.
So, I mean, you have watched me shift and change over the course of the last 6 months, and how, how that's impacted my relationships and myself and my everything. It's literally impacted everything in my life. Can't say that I'm gracefully moving through it, but I'm doing my best.
This is the you show up differently in your relationships.
Yes.
You show up differently in your relationships when you do the inner work on self around the patterns that have kept you struggling, out of balance, whatever it may be for you in regards to the pattern. But this is how you heal those places of disconnect in especially parents.
Yes.
And you notice when it's fallen away, and you can show up and be more of your authentic self and have that beautiful just connection, and you notice that it doesn't feel crunchy and it feels good, that you're actually like, wow, I've really shifted.
Yes. I invite anyone who's watching to answer some of those questions that I just asked for yourself over the course of the next week. Am I in integrity with my word? Am I in integrity with my authentic expression? Am I in integrity with my relationships and how I show up with them, and how radically honest, without being brutal? We don't need brutal honesty, just radical, loving, kind, honestness. And am I willing to sit in the discomfort of what life is, to be in connection with others? And I think that when we stop making excuses for our behavior, you're going to go on something that I've been thinking about for a while. When we stop trying to excuse our behavior, or try to this is why I do what I do, and start negotiating reality with another person, or start taking responsibility for our impact on others, that's when things, I think, shift. This is what I'm learning in my last part of my 34th year. And what shifts when that happens is that it no longer becomes about whether one person is right or wrong, but actually that I care about what's alive for the other person and what's alive for me too. That I'm no longer running from my feelings either, like, oh, I made a mistake, or oh, I don't feel very good. And just being really honest about that without being like, oh, I didn't do that, or I didn't mean to, or my intentions were,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that's part of self-love, is taking self-responsibility, as Eugene says. And, it's connection through responsibility.
Definitely.
And then you can negotiate reality with someone. Then I can be like, okay, well, hey, I know that this behavior that I do hurts you. And it's part of my authentic expression. Maybe I can shift it a little bit without abandoning myself. Maybe we can negotiate a way that we both fit into each other's boundaries while also fitting into our authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot about how we help each other grow through our presence, like what that actually looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our show is a lot about self-responsibility and how you can do the work yourself, and that is literally the foundation of self-love. And it's also all these tools that we practice. We get to practice them in space and time with other people. Like, this is, we get
the whole point of the show.
No, so self-responsibility and practicing it with the other person. So there's this other way that we show up in self-love and in other love, and how we do that takes honesty, and it takes the being in loving expression with and for another person. What's the most loving thing that I can do for Dawn today? Even when? What's the most loving thing I can do even when I'm in conflict with my friend? What's the most loving thing I can do when I'm in conflict with my boyfriend? What's the most loving thing I can do for both of us? I'm a fan of triple wins, and I'm always thinking about impact on others.
Well, leading with honesty is like the most important thing, not ignoring what's going on, and actually speaking to what's up is the first matter of business, because then you can both negotiate from there if each party knows how each feels. Yeah.
And sometimes that takes space.
Mm-hmm.
When there's a lot of heat behind it. And sometimes it takes connected timeouts, is what Scott calls them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, I love you, and I can feel the distance, or I can feel the fire, or I can feel the heat, and I want to come to you lovingly.
Yes.
So, and I think that when we start to see sovereignty as the self-sourcing piece, but also the commitment to my impact on you, or the earth, and your, like, my impact on you, and how that impacts your relationships and your family life and your work, and how a boyfriend will impact my life, my mental health, my life, and how that all ripples out. It is literally, we are so interconnected to each other, the earth, and the entire space, like in space.
Mm-hmm.
That's, for me, what part of self-love is. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in quantum physics, like, each thought ripples out and can touch like the vast ends of the star system. So we really are connected, and it's important. It's important to, own all parts of ourselves. That's sovereignty, being honest, being clear, being connected. And even if you aren't clear, taking the space to get clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to answer Eugene's question. Responsibility and accountability, I don't think, are the same thing. They're similar, and they're the Venn diagram of. There's some aspects there. I think accountability is when you show up in clarity. Again, I'm just riffing. For me, accountability is when you show up showing up without the judgment on self or other, taking the acknowledgement of the impact and choosing to shift behavior, language, and those types of things. Responsibility has some aspects in my brain around blame or one-sidedness. I don't know if anyone else has this sort of association, but like being responsible for what you say and your actions, that's like a very personal thing. Accountability, here it is. Here, accountability has this other connection too. Like I can be responsible for myself and for my word and my integrity, and being accountable to Dawn when I share something about it. When I say, hey, I'm going to do this thing, and being accountable if I don't do the thing, or if someone in my life, or if I don't show up the way that I say I'm going to show up with a lover or my parents, or something like that.
Responsibility is actually rooted in the word response. So it's actually going back to referencing like, how are you responding? You know, you bringing back the awareness to that very key moment of taking response. What's your response? And how are you going to move forward with owning that response and delivering it, right? Like being integral with your response, choosing your response from an empowered awareness place, right? And that's where accountability can be blended in, because you're bringing more awareness into your responses. That's where it's like very powerful, right? When you really are paying attention between stimulus, right? When you're stimulated by someone says something to you that triggers you, you're stimulated. Well, then before you actually just knee-jerk response, you can actually take a pause for a short little millisecond and choose your internal dialogue around what you're going to say for your response. So that's a place of empowerment. That's where you reclaim your empowerment with responsibility.
Yes. Love this. Taking accountability for your impact and how you respond. It shifts everything, you know? And so some of the things that I've been really, one thing that I want to reflect on is that you said earlier, taking the time to get clear. And on my trip and being in the forest really helped me to just see how in a state of burnout most of us are. Being out in the forest and just feeling connected to the earth and my body was really powerful for me to see how tired and how processy and how like all the things that I've been working with. And I was thinking about all of my loved ones. I'm like, wow, a lot of people are running on burnout right now, that they don't have the time or the capacity or the finances or the energy to even do deep nourishing self-care. I've just been thinking about that. That was another thought on the road.
It's kind of programmed in our culture to like show up that way. You know, burnout is a very acceptable way of existence in culture.
In our culture, yeah.
Yeah. We're not to say that it's good. I don't stand for it, and I definitely do my best to have days of self-care to balance myself as well, because it's so important. Even if it's just a bath sometimes when I need it, you know, or whatever the simple thing is, it's coming home to self. It's important. So I'm glad you gave yourself that gift to be able to see how you were burned out. That's powerful and profound. And did you get any messages around what can shift for you?
Oh, well, again, it was coupled with being with my family, which created a lot of like, I'm not sure how this is going to relate. Like, I don't know how this is. I gave myself those time periods to be in the forest because I knew that I might be stepping in to hard stuff with my family.
Yeah. That's really wise.
Sometimes it's about just being not like just clearing my head is what it is. It's like I'm not thinking about anything. I'm singing to the radio and I'm out in the forest and I'm like seeing sunsets that I want to share with everyone that I love. I'm wanting to it's about not thinking about it sometimes to give it enough space to actually have a new process around my thoughts.
Definitely.
And there's a big process that I'm in right now around how I show up in my work. And you've heard all about it. They haven't heard about it. But how I show up in my work and how I'm seeing the it's not even a subtle shift. This is a big full stop shift in my life. And how to get back into integrity with myself and the other people around me is been a lot on my life and my what I spend a lot of time thinking about. How to deepen my work, how to show up in sharing what I now understand is a foundation of what is some of the things that I've been working on and teaching for a long time. And how to stand in gracefulness, or as much gracefulness, when I'm wildly out of integrity. And that's the thing. Like, the thing about self-love and the thing about acknowledging oneself is that I hate to break it to you again, y'all. I'm going to just like, I'm going to poke the thing. You're human and you're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time.
So do I.
Dawn makes mistakes.
They're not mistakes. They're learning opportunities. And there's so much fun. And not to bypass, like, it's not to bypass, like, the impact of your choices. But it's important to acknowledge that it's a learning opportunity instead of being harsh and judgy on yourself around a mistake, right? Like, oh, I made a mistake and like beat yourself up for it. No, like, what's my learning in this area? What am I learning through this? Right? Like, valuable learning, And so maybe it's a shift from judging yourself as out of integrity to it's a realignment in my life. What if you weren't out of integrity and you were really just restructuring, realigning your life all around instead of judging yourself as out of integrity? Because that's so harsh.
Well, it would be, I don't see it as a judgment.
Okay.
I see it as, so there's a path to my value system that I walk into. And when I choose behaviors, language, or thought processes, thank you, Dwight, I love you. Isn't it your birthday too? That when you're aligned with your value system and you're moving forward in all of the ways that you walk in the world, that is, for me, being in integrity.
Yes.
Now, when I know that I am, here are my values, and when I either can't show up the way that I know that I can or want to, then that's a slight shift. So there's like, and getting, it's just something that happens. Being out of integrity with my value system is something that happens. And it's just a realignment. It's a constant practice. Like, these are practices, right? We've heard this before. And so when I get out of alignment with my value system, or when I'm out of integrity, then I get to come back in, and that's taking accountability for where I'm at and how I'm behaving in the world. So if I make a mistake in relationship, like let's say I have a value to really stay in connection with you, and well, that is my value. This is my value, and I know that I've made a mistake. So here's an example in my personal life that I've had a lover in the past who I know their value is to stay in connection and stay aligned and to find ways to authentically be in their FES as well as mine and foster security. And the places of staying in the integrity piece is not abandoning oneself for another's needs or not abandoning another for one's own needs, and finding that value system, finding the way or the negotiation there. So when I hurt someone, of course I don't want to hurt someone. My intentions were good, but intentions don't mean anything. It's impact that actually shows me how I'm showing up.
And also it's the willingness to say, hey, I did this here and I want to own that.
Yes.
Right? Or I'm so sorry I didn't see myself showing up like this. And now I do. And I want to take responsibility for that. I want to take accountability for that. I want to mend here.
Yes.
I want to mend here where there's been disconnection.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it takes a level of courage to be in the discomfort, and it takes a level of courage to be centered enough to hold someone else's experience.
And vulnerability. Like, it takes just authenticity and vulnerability to be able to have these types of conversations, and honesty, and the other person to say, yes, that did hurt me, that, and I've had this perspective around it. And then really, where can we both shift and cleanse our lens of perception to create a whole new reality together?
Yes. So those are, Kayla. I think that, I think that taking time, for reflection and taking time for self-love is how you nourish yourself while going through all the human stuff that happens. How do I nourish myself when I'm in conflict with another person so that I can show up and in my integrity? How can I take accountability for my impact on them and my action? Because we're humans. I've been socialized in certain, ways. Like, I've been thinking a lot. Oh, here's another thing that I was thinking a lot about: how people are socialized, and finding even more compassion for, I think a lot about how humans socialize as male, and how their thought process has some impact on people, or how people socialize as female, how they, like, for an example, are more receptive or do more inner work or have more, community mindedness. And I think that those are aspects of socialization and having a womb and general maternal instincts or something like that, so it's like, so there's just, when we can sit with our impact, when we can find compassion for another person's experience, and they're just doing their authentic expression, and they might not even know. Another thought that I thought about on the road and just around my birthday and people showing up in my life is, or how I show up in my life with other people, is I paid a lot of attention to who and how people showed up on my journey, or how I showed up with other people, or there's magic in awareness.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
it was like, instead of being like present here, I took a 10,000 foot view and was like, oh, here's someone who's texting me out of the blue in this particular container in my life that I've created. Or, hey, this person is showing up in this way. Or, this is an interesting, just seeing how, without judgment, how someone's showing up or how I'm showing up without the judgment, and being like, oh, okay, what's really aligned there and what's really alive. That makes sense?
Yes. Yeah. I
And
mean,
so
I'm really,
something that
I'm hearing you say it as you're acknowledging how the universe is loving you through all these channels of people.
just giving me an opportunity to look and see if those people are aligned with my values, see if I'm aligned with theirs, see if I'm showing up in my best, or if I'm not, or like how I can restructure lots of things. Yeah, synchronicity for sure. Let me share something with you about the something I wrote about values. Thanks, Jean. If you're wondering what a person values, turn down the volume of their words. Listen to their actions. In other words, if you're wondering if a person values you, bring your awareness to the kind of energy, time, and attention they invest in you. Do their actions align with their words? And this, again, was self. How am I showing up? Do I know that I value someone? And you bring your awareness to the kind of energy, the time, and the attention that I'm investing in another person. And does my actions align with my words? And remember that how you allow others to interact with you is a clear indicator of how you value yourself. How you treat others is a clear indicator of how you value them. The treatment that you accept or give is what you will receive and give in relationship.
Mhm.
You're worthy of more than breadcrumbs of connection as love. And that's on you to set the standards of treatment and boundaries that you have in your life.
Very much so. I love that. You're worthy of more than breadcrumbs. It's so true. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that it's like you got to honor yourself, right? You've got to honor yourself. I've got to honor myself. I've got to take the time to get clear, because and our lovers have to do that, and our partners and our children and our friends, like, the ebbs and flows of relationship. And if someone comes to you and says to you, hey, you're impacting me in this way, and I'm wondering if we can negotiate something, and you have no time for them, or you have zero space, how can you be more honest and loving and gentle with the other person? Like, how can you set them up for success? How can you set yourself up for success? How can you have a triple win? And that's something that's been really, really on my brain, is about triple wins. We've talked about this, right, Dawn? I have literally, this is literally, okay, if you want to know my philosophy of life, is I'm constantly thinking about impact and how to have triple wins. You win, I win, we all win.
Triple wins are where it's at.
Yeah. How do I win? I mean, we're self-centered. That's just how human beings work. How does Dawn win in connection with me, in our proximity? How do I win? How does she win together? And then how does her family
win?
Yeah,
How does her all win?
family win because I'm in her life? How do they win because I'm in Dawn's life? How do we all win because we're here? Like, and I think about those things on a very global level. I'm not sure if that's something that everyone does, but that's something that I'm constantly thinking about. That is literally just my general makeup.
I love that. That's beautiful.
So
I'm excited to see what comes of it.
I'm excited to well, I've been thinking about that for a long time.
Hi.
And hi, Amanda. And that's one of the things about about showing up in integrity. Hi, Summer. Thank you so much for coming out and being amazing and just doing your work in the world. Whew, talk about a woman who's doing crazy things in the world.
Yay!
Well, that's something that I've been living into for a long time, right? And so again, that is part of my value system. And if it's off, and my impact is actually telling me that my behaviors and my actions and my thoughts and my words aren't in alignment with that, then how do I come back into that place?
But you get to reevaluate what it all is for you. You get to re-choose. Like, you get to rewire yourself. And if the values are not matching your new desired place that's birthing inside of you, then you get to really sit with that and choose. Truly choose what is there for me now? What's alive for me here? What's shifting? What's falling away? What's no longer congruent?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's what happens around birthdays. Now, for all of you who have been watching and listening, do you have these like birthday reflections? You know, do you think about these things in a way? You know, and what are the questions that you asked this past birthday, or the one coming up? Or if you're a Libra, like, what are you thinking about now? And like, I'm inviting you to you know, just get into a little integrity practice with yourself. And also share out and be celebrated for the questions that you're asking and the work that you're doing and the self-awareness that you're building. And if you ever want to learn an integrity practice of how to get into integrity and take accountability for your actions, you let me know. I've thoughts for you, and I have some ideas for you that have been really helping me to take responsibility and take accountability and ownership of my impact without blame, guilt, or shame. No, don't get me wrong. Guilt and blame and shame are all part of the system and the moving through.
Yes.
And that's honoring that place too. You know,
and wouldn't you say the underneath lying guilt, shame, and deeper beliefs that surface around the material is actually the reason why it's happening, so that you can source those places because they're from younger years, younger pieces of yourself coming to the light to realize this is the structure that's no longer, it was a coping mechanism built within.
Oh, wait.
I'm the only other person here, so I think everybody sees that.
This beautiful friend over here. So I don't. It's been over a year and I still haven't figured it out. Just to say, if you ever want to know how long it takes to break a habit, this is where compassion and self-compassion comes in. And you know, I want to answer Summer's question. What are my birthday wishes? And my birthday wishes are really to align myself with people who are invested in doing their work and doing our relational work together. That is what I'm truly wishing for. And I have, what I notice is that the more integral that I become, that most people just self-select out or fall away. I am, my wishes there's wishes for the world, there's wishes for personal experiences, there's wishes for my work with Dawn. I have a lot of wishes. Summer, we should have a call about it. And
I like that. Have you written them down?
I'm still in excavation space. I feel like a very new person. And I don't even know the clarity around. I don't have a lot of clarity. I'm stepping into a dance workshop, a Gestalt workshop here in Bennett, and I assume that this weekend is going to help me really clarify what I want.
Yay!
It always
That's
does.
great.
I know that I'm seeking to be around people who are committed to building secure attachments.
I love this.
And that means
Yay.
hey, I'm willing to do this. And it doesn't, like negotiating reality in relationships. I'm not talking about just, I'm not talking about just romantic relationships, but all friendships. Like, I'm going to show up in the discomfort to love you better, to love me better. I'm going to be there, and that's who I want in my life.
Well, that's when you really know your expansion of your ability to hold compassion for yourself and another is when you're willing to show up in a crunchy, hard conversation and be honest and say, yeah, it's crunchy, it's hard, it's uncomfortable, but here I am because I love you, because you're me. Really, the truth is there's no separation. So it's like letting go of the fear of being able to just be in that capacity is freeing, because you know that this too shall pass, right? Like, that's such an old, beautiful saying, but it is so true. Like, what is coming to the surface and coming to the light is there for a reason, and it's a learning.
It's true. I'm seeking my wishes. I'll just name some of the wishes that I can feel that are up in my world. Really aligning with communities that are doing anti-oppression work. I'm really, truly stepping on that path from a different perspective now. People who are actively committed to doing not just their personal work, but the relational work and stay in connection. People who are more sober, communities around sobriety, and healthy activities. People who are being around people who are committed to taking accountability for their impact. It's very important to me. I'm wanting more dance in my life and cultivation of a clientele that is really, truly ready for change, for personal change and global change. Because what we do here is our healing is all healing. It's microcosm of the macrocosm and vice versa. It is the thing. And I guess there's a lot of community-based wishes right now that I'm expanding my community and my wants there. I want more hot water in my life, like natural, stinky, earth-based hot water. That's what I want. I want.
Got to go to Wilbur.
Yes. I've been thinking about how I wish to be, and how I want to change, and that really is sitting in more silence, more quiet, more reflection, more forest time, because I felt how nourishing that was for me, like deeply, deeply nourishing. I felt more connected to the earth and the land and my ancestors and the people than I have in a long, long time. Like, I feel deeply connected to them, and then I was like really deeply connected, like sitting by a waterfall or a stream in 46 degrees, being like, "What am I doing with myself? It's cold here." Those are some of my wishes. But Summer, I'll write them out for you, and I'll text you about them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wish for you ease this year. May this 35th year really step into a place of allowing yourself that spaciousness, because I hear you calling in spaciousness.
Yes.
because it's in the spaciousness that
When I rush,
nourishing.
things fall apart. I notice that. When I hurry.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very powerful lesson.
When I don't stop to think about, my body tells me a lot of things. And if I don't stop to think about it, then it doesn't tell me things. I can't hear it. And sometimes I'm unclear. Even in my body, it's confusing. And I can just share that. That changes everything too. Radical sharing of what's real and alive. I also want Eve. Yes, thank you. I want ease for you too. I want ease for us all. And that's part of the realignment of the shifting of my work and my values is that how do I create more ease for us all? That triple win.
Yes.
I'd love to hear more from our viewers or our listeners about what questions you ask. Again, you can text me privately or share on the post or anything like that. But I really love to hear about your reflections and your self-awareness and what your birthdays look like and
what does birthday mean to you? You know, what comes forward for you when you're having a birthday? What's your process like? Is it an outward expression time or is it an inward, time for you around your birthday?
It's true.
Yeah. For me, my birthday is always about, mine falls right at the time when it's like the New Year's. So everybody's partied out, everybody spends all their cash from the Christmas season. And so I just opt to always go to a hot spring or something really chill because it just feels very in alignment for that time of year. And it's always rooted in new beginnings and new like what's coming of the new year. So I just always leverage my birthday as, it's really rooted in planting seeds time for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always, what's coming in the year is kind of layered in there. And I think I spend the month of December reflecting on what the year was like, so that when I step into my birthday, it's more about what's really coming from my heart now. What do I want now in my life? What am I complete with, and what am I birthing?
I view my birthday as a new year. Like I don't actually celebrate the new year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a new year.
As the crest of. So I have the same. It's like I spend all that time thinking about what happened. Where do I want to shift and be next? And I'm totally resonating with that, Dawn. Thank you for sharing your process.
Mm-hmm.
I love that your opt-in is for everyone's rejuvenation and self-care too. It's so awesome. I love you so much. Oh.
Yeah, well, I find that self-care is the first place to get back into alignment. It's been my go-to my whole life to be able to source myself. Yes. So it just was the authentic expression that came forward. Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
I see you.
Yeah. So Amanda says, I just had my birthday.
Working on being more in my belly brain. Yes, listening to your body.
Belly brain, I love that.
I just want to remind everyone again is that self-love is also being very selective and discerning about who you surround yourself with. And again, what you put in your body, both in your view or in your mouth or on your body, and how it makes you feel. And I know that there's some places where we can and can't choose who we hang out with, but to really spend time with people who encourage and nourish and empower you, and people who are have capability and willingness to meet you in either your personal work or the relational work or the global work. Like, you get to choose how you align and who you align with. And that's really showing your priorities and your values is who you choose to show up with. And who's worth it for you. And we can just, like, who's worth your precious time and energy. And that's a personal thing. You don't have to be like, but remember back to the thing I shared about the value system is like, not I love a lot of people and I can't be deeply emotionally intimate with, the amount of people that I do love. And it's really very specific how we share this beautiful time that we have and how to negotiate the relational connection, proximity, and boundaries to show everyone that we love them as well. These are just random thoughts that I've had, and also just in the moments of feeling of like, what's here? How I want more connection through heart-based, body-based connection, spiritual connection. Like, what I mean by body-based as well is the embodiment of that. It feels like a yes to be connected. That's what I want.
Where it feels alive, where you're vibrating in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dawn, I love you.
I love you too. It's your birthday. Woo!
No, I'm gonna go cry and dance right now.
I love that.
And I'm gonna go be with people.
Yeah.
And I really want to thank everyone who showed up today and who's showing up for themselves and who's asking the card questions. And I want to honor you too for being here and wanting to celebrate me in my intensity of who this person is.
Before we go, I just want to go ahead.
Oh, I see the people who show up weekly, and I see the people who are showing up now, and I know that you're doing your work, and I know that you're looking at the things. I want to honor you.
Yeah,
that's the best birthday gift for me.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. Beautiful. Well, for this year, rotation around the sun, I wish for you just greater grace. May Spirit bless your life with grace and ease in all the places you're calling it in. May you have the gift of more spaciousness in all places you're needing. May the congruence come where you've had questions. May more alignment step forward for you in the places you're seeking greater alignment inside of yourself. May the heartfelt wishes that you really hold deepest, that Spirit knows all parts of you. So may those just gracefully come forward in your life. And may this 35th year be the best year of your life, and more learning and more high vibrational alignment to source, self, and others. And may those deepest wishes of connections come forth so easily. Happy birthday. Love you.
That's a great birthday wish for me. Thank you, Dawn.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you all for sharing.
I have a birthday gift for you, by the way.
Oh, heard.
A physical one that I get to give to you.
All right. Well, I guess I'm going to have to just make some time. How about next week?
Yes.
Where there's spaciousness.
Like, go dance, sweat, and pray, and have a good time on your birthday today. I wish that for you. May it be transformative in all the ways you're asking.
I'll take that too.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you all for this really random self-love show and just a reflection of us. So I love you. And I'll see you next week for a really, really epic show.
Yay! Have a wonderful